Good morning and good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Measurement and Analytics Tech Talks. Today's topic is creating value with digital solutions. My name is Jacqueline Goosen and I am your Tech Talk host for today. I will be introducing our speakers shortly, but I think we should start with a safety moment first. So no matter where you are, please make sure that you are aware of your surroundings and that you know your local emergency procedures. Be familiar with your escape routes, and in case of an emergency, do not delay to exit the building. And please help any visitors or people with special needs to exit safely. If you are driving today, make sure that you are complying with your local rules. Please make use of a hands-free device, and if it's prohibited to be on the phone while driving, please pull off. We are recording the session. We will be making it available on our Tech Talks webpage afterwards, and we will be sharing the recording with the participants. And now we can have a look at a couple of process points. I will be sharing the registration link in our chat box, which you can find at the bottom right. So if you have any colleagues who would like to attend the session, you are welcome to share this registration link with them. When you joined, please make sure that you participate with via voice over IP. And the session is about 45 minutes long with 15 minutes at the end for questions. You can enter your questions into the chat box. You can send them to the host. Everybody is globally muted. We kindly ask that you refrain from typing, talking, or texting. The information that we are sharing is very valuable. To ensure good audio quality, please do not disable your speaker. As mentioned before, any questions that you might have, please enter them into the chat box. And we will be sharing the presentation materials after the session. I am your host. My contact details are at the bottom of the screen. And then we also have Cecilia, who is your local marketing communications manager. And now I have the pleasure of introducing our speaker, Dr. David Lincoln. He is the digital leader for measurement and analytics. David is responsible for driving digital transformation for ABB's wide-ranging sensing business, and this includes analyzers, instrumentation, and force measurement. Previously, David was responsible for service technology, productization, and product management for measurement and analytics. As technology manager, he set up the measurement and analytics development in China. And David holds a master's degree in mechanical engineering from the University of Manchester in England, and he has a PhD from Cardiff University in Wales. He is currently based in the UK. And with that, I hand over to Dave.
Thank you, Jacqueline, and hello everyone, and welcome to this ABB Tech Talk. So today I'd like to try and take you on a journey of what is happening in terms of disruption in the industrial automation domain. I'll then try to relate it to some of the challenges that you face in your industries today, and how some of our solutions are able to help with those challenges. And then we'll have a bit of time for questions at the end. So first of all, what I'd like to do is talk about how to make a great loaf of bread. Now, anyone who's tried to make a loaf of bread will know this, that it's not so easy actually to come out with that perfect loaf at the end of the process. And there are a number of things that are key to that successful loaf. So firstly, you need to have a good recipe and a good process. You need to have good ingredients, and of course, you know, the equipment you use to ensure that you have the right amounts of those ingredients is key. The time that you leave the dough to rise before you then cook it in an oven that should have the right temperature profile, and the timing within the oven. All these things are very critical to ensuring that loaf of bread comes out successful. And you know, that requires a lot of skill, as well as a good clean environment to ensure that there's no pollutants or contaminants in that loaf of bread. Now, to make 140,000 loaves of bread each day is another challenge on top of that. So first of all, the existing points about making one loaf of bread are still there. You still need to have the process, the ingredients, the equipment, and the skills and the environment to ensure that each loaf of bread comes out exactly how you want it. But then there are a number of other things that are there as well as important in making that a successful business proposition. And so if you're running this as a company, then you also care about the productivity, quality control, your people, your resources, how they're trained. And of course, you want to do that within a regulatory framework. So are your people safe? Is the bread coming out? Can you guarantee that there's no contamination? And are you doing this all in an environmentally sustainable way, meeting the local regulations? And this is, where you go from making that single loaf of bread, which is, in your home environment, you're just there making the bread, to bringing in that automation process to make a huge volume of something each day. And really, it doesn't matter particularly what the volume production is. It could be, a chemical that you're producing, or some kind of car or something. But whatever you're trying to produce in high volume, there will be some form of automation system there operating to allow you to produce in that high volume. And what you can see here on the screen is an automation system. This is a DCS system, but essentially what you have at the base of this system is the sensors, the sensing, so the things that are actually telling you what is happening within that process, as well as then the muscles that are then moving things around. So you have like the motors, the valves, the drives, and all of these things that are helping to propel your process and your product through the system. And then you have the controllers and the servers, and then some interaction with the process to allow you to make modifications to ensure everything is running correctly, pull out the KPIs to measure the quality as you go. So this is typically how a process will look. And okay, there are other variations of this with PLCs and discrete controllers, but essentially the concept is very similar. Now, what's happened over time is that this area of technology has been known as operational technology, and it has typically been developed with an island view. and this view is that you would not connect this world with other parts of your system. But this island view is now starting to become disrupted. And as we see digital technologies coming through, you're finding that basically the idea that you can keep your operational technology separated from the rest of your plant is not so feasible. And so this island view is becoming disrupted. And that island view, why is it being disrupted? What you find is that the digital technology that is evolving is converging the IT world, which is the information technology where you hold your your email systems and your corporate network, which is there to manage a number of things like your resource planning and so on. There are benefits in linking that with your operational technology where you're actually physically producing your product. And so that's being merged in this sort of Internet of Things method. So data coming from your operational technology is merging with your IT technology, and you're able to start to use all of this data combined to provide additional value to you. And there are a lot of different technologies that are available. So for example, here are some of the new technologies that we're trialing and implementing in some of our products today, through from augmented reality to machine learning, the new 5G connectivity that's coming through, cloud computing. There's a whole host of technologies that are here and available today that the industrial market can take advantage of. And of course, cybersecurity is a key element of that in ensuring that it is done securely. Now, in our personal lives, we've seen that digital technologies can really create disruption in a very short period of time. So here on the screen, you can see back in 2005, when John Paul II passed away, there was a huge outpouring of emotion, and many people in Rome went to pay their respects after he passed. And here you can see there's a lot of people just there in the moment, with their families and friends. Yeah, I think at the back here you can see someone has what looks like a Motorola Razr phone. Probably there's a few people there with Blackberries phones in their pockets so that they're connected with their email systems. But by and large, most people are there and experiencing this in their own way. Now, if you skip forwards 8 years to 2013, when Benedict XVI retired, you can see that things have completely changed. Almost everyone is there with their smartphone or even their tablet and recording this momentous occasion as the new Pope was elected. So this is 100% penetration of digital technologies in our personal lives. Now, in the industrial markets, we've not seen such a rapid change as of this time. And what this graph here on the screen is trying to describe, this is an S curve. So it's trying to describe the maturity of different industries when it comes to their adoption of digital technologies. So obviously it started, a lot of the technologies have been developed in the ICT market. The media has also been, very changed in the past decade, with most people now scanning the daily news from their tablets and their phones rather than buying a physical newspaper. Banking now is all about using your app. Not many people are writing checks these days to pay the milkman or other services that they purchase. So these industries have already seen a major revolution in how they interact with their customers. But what you can see is that on the industries that we in ABB serve, and probably many of you in the audience are from, our industrial markets have not evolved as rapidly and are not as mature as these sort of leading industries in the digital technology domain. And so you can see, probably you can pick out your own industry, but they're all sort of trying to work out, how can we take this operational technology environment, which has been developed as a island, kept deliberately separate from the rest of the organization, how can we take that environment and utilize these new technologies that are clearly going to add value to our organizations? How can we take them and use them going forwards? And that's what I spend my time trying to figure out, and many people in many companies trying to figure out, how do we get these industries up to here on this maturity curve and really start to pull that productivity and benefits through, and improve how we can produce things. Now, if you think about the different challenges that we in industry are facing, I think here we're trying to just show that you can broadly categorize some of these challenges into 4 categories. So firstly, connectivity. At the moment, all of the data is within these devices, and basically we need to unlock that data and make it visible, so that we can then produce insights and value from it that will help with our productivity and so on. So connectivity is like one of the key challenges that is there in how do you access that information, which is the new gold. Skill sets, we see huge changes in how skills are being how people are being trained these days. The newer generations are much more adept at absorbing information and finding how to do things using Google, using the internet, and are not so necessarily going to hold in their heads the same amount of information that the previous generations would have, the more traditionally trained technicians and engineers that are there today and are starting to retire. So we see a huge shift in how people work and can be effective in the industrial sector. Productivity is then also key. I mean, there has never been, I would say, a more connected world than today, and it's very clear that a company may have been operating at its peak and had a very nice global market position in days past, but then new companies come in different countries, and that can completely change the competitor landscape in a relatively short period of time. And so we see that everyone is trying to work out how to be more productive, how to be more competitive, and that's about increasing output typically, and using less people to do that. And finally, the regulatory side. So health and safety is paramount in every organization out there, and we see environmental regulations increasing significantly in many places, and so that is driving how companies can be sustainable and how they can meet the local regulations that exist there. So typically that's you see that in emission monitoring and in other areas within companies. How do they control what they're putting back into the environment? So what we'd like to do now is just to try and make this a little bit interactive. We've got a short question we'd like to ask you. I think Jacqueline, I don't know if you're able to put it on the screen. That's it. So in your industry, what are the challenges that you're experiencing? Can you just what's keeping you awake at night of these sort of 4 categories? If you could just give us your feeling here, that'd be very helpful. We'll just give you a bit more time to answer that.
Just give it another 10 seconds.
Okay, I don't know if please, you can give the outcome of that. Okay. So it's yeah, we're seeing sort of connectivity is one of the areas that is coming through there, followed by productivity, staff skills, and a little bit on regulation. So yeah, that's no, that's very interesting. I think that, you know, that reflects, you know, the challenges that I experience here in ABB, and how do we you know, how do we get to that connectivity. Okay, thank you for that. So right, moving on then. So what we've done is, after sort of categorizing these various challenges, we've grouped our digital solutions that are available today into these various needs. So and what you have here is a combination of product features. So obviously connectivity starts with the device. How do you communicate with it? And that can be via wireless or wired connectivity. From a skills perspective, there are a lot of apps now available that can be used to upskill staff, as well as get information to the experts, who can then remotely assist with things like augmented reality. Through to productivity, where we see a range of sort of condition monitoring solutions and methods of interacting with devices in a more intuitive and simplistic manner, through to the regulatory area, where there are a range of solutions available for support there. Now, on the connectivity front, I've just put in a few examples here. So, you know, what we see now is that more and more people would like to communicate with their devices using their smartphones or tablets. This is obviously, you know, means you don't have to have another piece of equipment to go into the field with, and you can add your reports and so on directly to your system. The DCS there, which can be communicated either wired or wireless communications. Edge computing now, so passing data to the edge to pull out the asset health information or provide other insights, as well as then devices directly connected to cloud via, you know, the mobile network through cellular communications like 5G, NB-IoT, and so on. And these sort of communication connectivity solutions are all, you know, a lot of that data is then also can be sent to cloud. This new remote server somewhere where you can have infinite compute power, infinite storage, and secure data backup. Now, all of this on the left-hand side is just the connectivity. Really, the value is held within the data, and how you, you know, take the valuable data from the meaningless data and generate that additional productivity or that better reliability for your plant. And here's just an example of a product and how digital solutions are supporting products these days. So this is an ABB Coriolis meter, and what we have for this device and others is a range of apps for helping with productivity and skill. So on the top side, you see a intuitive app for health checking using you know, a PC-based software. You also then see a app for configuration that auto recognizes the device. And then on the bottom side, you see the skills. So the My Measurement Assistant app, which is a web app for helping to troubleshoot and commission devices, and also now with augmented reality, where we're using augmented reality to support customers with their issues in the field. So we're surrounding devices with these apps, and this then forms the complete solution offering for the customer. So the verification tool is, as I mentioned, this is a health checking software that can help to outline what is the accuracy of your device. Is it still performing correctly? There's a free version available, so you can go to the QR code here and download this software directly and interact with your ABB flow meter to check its health. And there are also enhanced and premium versions available, which you can use to get more information and download reports about the device, and also trend the data that's there. So this is a good example of an app with a very simple user interface that de-skills what, if you didn't have this kind of software, what would take an expert to be able to check that device is performing correctly. And I mentioned the My Measurement Assistant web application. So this is a free tool. You can go into the link and download this. And connect to this web page. And here you'll find a whole host of video tutorials. So these video tutorials are the short videos for the YouTuber generation, and there are guided checklists there to help you step through the process of how you can commission your ABB flow meter in the correct manner. And there are, you can go through that process. You can tick the boxes that you've done each step, and at the end of it, you should ensure that you have a very well commissioned and correctly operating device. So between the My Measurement Assistant app, which is there for the commissioning and troubleshooting, and the verification app, you should be able to ensure right first time operation when you commission that product, and as well as, if you have issues, identify what is the likely cause through the guided support that's there. And there are also things like spare parts catalogs in this site. You can find your local contact information, and recently we added an error code check. So if you've ever found a device that is alarming and is no longer functioning, typically you'd see a number on the screen, something like an S234.2, and you're there, and you've got a shutdown situation. You're thinking, what is that error code? What does that mean to me? And you then have to try and find the manual, find the error code list, and work out what is that particular problem. Now, what we've done is we've put all of the error codes into this web app, such that you just enter the code, and it will automatically tell you what is the problem and what is the course of action to resolve it. So these are good examples of how applications can be used to improve your productivity, and not really things that require major investment or major changes in the way that you do business today. So another example here, and this is for the emission monitoring market. What you see here is on the left is the physical analyzer. So this is the equipment that is used to measure all the different components that are coming out of the chimney stack. So it's that in its own right is highly accurate and reliable piece of equipment. But when you combine that with the digital technologies, so here you have our secure micro PC for cloud connection, as well as hosting our condition monitoring software. You know, these tools allow you to firstly remotely communicate with the analyzer, so not needing to climb the chimney stack to go and check something, as well as remotely just view the health of that system without needing to go to it. And so this is examples of how you can avoid having to physically be at the device to ensure that it's operating correctly. And when you combine that then with our sort of service organization, where we have people, experts sat in our control rooms, monitoring the performance of these systems globally. You know, when there is issues, these experts can immediately connect with the analyzer securely and identify what the problem is, and hopefully resolve that problem without needing to go to site. But of course, they're also ideally placed if the condition monitoring app identifies an issue and alarms, then they're ideally placed to then deploy the skilled technician who can physically go to site to fix it. So what you end up with here is obviously the solution, which is making that process of emission monitoring easy and essentially allowing you as the operator to not really have to put the skills and the people in place to support this process that is key to ensuring that you can operate your plant going forwards. And so what you see is that all manufacturers are now investing heavily in software development, and of course we are no different in that. So you have, if this is the ABB ability pyramid, starting at the device layer, all our products communicate up to higher level systems. We have a range of automation systems for the oil and gas segment, as well as recorders and controllers, and all of these devices can communicate up to our application landscape. So you have a range of apps that I've just introduced some of them, which are there to take the benefits out of the data that is living within these devices at the lower layers. And it's our job to as the equipment manufacturer to work out what is the useful and important information and expose just that, the stuff that really tells you whether your device is working, everything's good, there's a slight problem, you might need to do something in the coming months, or you have a serious problem, you need to get that addressed. And so that's the journey that we're on, and we have a lot of work going on in this area, and are adding more and more capability to our software as the weeks and months go by. And I would say that if you think about this My Measurement Assistant app that I just introduced, the thing about this app is within the past 12 months we're on our third version of that application, and essentially each time we've added more and more capability and more improvements to the steps that are there. So this becomes today it is a very nice and useful app in helping you with your skill sets and productivity, but tomorrow it will do much more and much more, and that's the development cycle that we're on with software and other manufacturers as well. So I think really the key takeaways from today and from what I feel in my day-to-day life is that we do see that digital is creating these new opportunities, and as I mentioned before, this doesn't necessarily require significant investment to access the technology that's there. And we're able to classify our solutions into different areas to deal specifically with the needs that exist. in many plants, and it's not just about the software. The solutions are now very much a joined connection between everything that is there. So it's about the physical device, it's about the software, and it's about having the the trained and skilled sort of service network in the back end that can be able to provide you with that software driven solution that can really add value to your operations. And this is the start of the journey. You remember that maturity curve and where our industries are currently sat compared to, say, the banking industry. There is a huge way to go here, and we're really just now starting to see the benefits coming through on these software tools. So I think lots more to come here, and lots more possibilities in future. Okay, so thank you very much for listening there. I think we now have some time for questions. So I don't know, Jacqueline, if we have I think you're fielding the questions there.
If anybody has any questions, you can type them into the chat box. You'll find it at the bottom right of your screen. Please ensure that you are addressing it to your host, and then I can read it out to Dave to get his feedback.
Thank you. And of course, if you want to, if you have any questions, or you want to have some more detailed discussions about anything you've heard today, then please reach out to us. My email address is there. You can also find me on LinkedIn as well as the others. So yeah, please. I'm happy to be very interested to hear how you're getting on and what you're experiencing in your organization.
We don't have any questions coming through at the moment. Dave, perhaps we can start our poll.
Yeah.
So we just have a few, it's only 3 short questions we would like you to answer. You should be seeing it on your screen. If you've got a moment, please select the options that you most agree with. Okay, Dave, we've got our first question from Ram Gopal. He is asking if calibration is possible from remote through the cloud.
I mean, that's a very good question. Thank you for that. I think it depends on the physical device. So in many cases on the gas analytics, we already can perform remote calibrations with certified gases. So that is something that's possible. I think with the device verification. Now, verification is checking the device health by using the diagnostics that are available within it. This is as the manufacturer, this is from our development teams the best possible check of accuracy, but it doesn't completely replace calibration. And so in that sense, the verification tool we have been working on a cloud hosted version, and we did some of the first trials of cloud verification at the Imperial College carbon capture plant about 2 years ago now. So yes, it's possible to perform these kind of tasks remotely, but physical calibration is typically requires that you have that you're able to if it's a flow meter, pass a known volume of liquid through the flow meter in a known time to actually perform a calibration. So that is not so easy to achieve, but definitely remote verification is something that we are investigating and performing.
Thank you, David. We also have another question from Ron. He is asking, how would digitalization help during the unique circumstances we find ourselves in with the COVID-19?
That's also a very, very good question. I mean, I think what we're all experiencing now is that it's much more challenging to get people into plants, and obviously with the social distancing we want to keep that to a minimum. And so what some of the things that I've been involved in is we've been rolling out augmented reality remote support. So this is an app that allows our remote experts to connect with a customer's phone or tablet. The customer can then turn on their camera and microphone and audio, and we're able to communicate with them similar to how you would with a Skype session or Teams or Zoom or anything like that. But additionally, there's the capability to pause the screen for the customer to then draw on the screen. So you might be able to point an arrow at a button or something, as well as pass them documents and videos through the app to say, right, I understand the problem, this is how you fix it. And that's something that we're doing. But I think we also see that there's a lot more interest now in how can you remotely communicate and perform tasks. So we see more interest in tools like the ones I've shown today, as well as remote troubleshooting and remote connection to devices. I think that's the key. And then I think we also have on many of our devices a QR code on the display. So that QR code contains, you go into the service menu on the gas analyzers or the water analyzers or the recorders, and that QR code is generated by the device, and it contains information about the device. So its serial number, when it was manufactured, what hardware version, firmware version, software version. But it also contains a lot of health information, and we also have an app that allows the app's called My Install Base, and that app allows you to communicate that data securely to our experts. So I think we do see a lot of more ways that we can support remotely. I hope that answers the question.
Thank you very much, Dave. We have another question. This is from Ashim Basak. He is asking, do you have IoT-enabled field instrumentation?
There are a number of our devices that we would now probably classify as IoT. So we have a flow meter that allows you to communicate with it via near field communication, and we also have some Bluetooth connectivity coming through. So this allows you to obviously connect devices to the internet, independent of the control environment where that's wanted by the customer. So I think yes, everything that we produce is moving into the field of IoT at this point. And I think that's in the frame of connectivity and the importance of connectivity. This is a key step in enabling a lot of the value and the data to be easily accessed. And even over the last 20 years, maybe longer, we've all of the devices have been designed to communicate data through the systems. And even with the heart devices, heart was invented to allow you to communicate more information through the system than what was done before, which would have been a 4 to 20 milliamp output. And so that even even today, you don't need to invest in immediately in lots of new devices with these kinds of communications. There is a whole range of information that's available. Just many people I speak to have not enabled HART and are just still relying on 4 to 20 milliamp. But if you just take that first step in using the data that's already available through HART, which is exactly the same information that can come from Bluetooth or other communication mediums, that that's already a good step forwards in adding better information about your process and how things are performing. Thank you. It's a good question.
Then we've got another question from Data Mondo asking, can we have remote monitoring support for all kinds of measurement products like flow and level?
So, I mean, the simple answer is yes. I think we have already a flow meter that communicates via cellular networks and can be directly connected. But we also have a range of solutions available from ABB that can offer you remote connectivity. So there's a part of ABB called Arctic that offer a range of VPN cellular gateways and servers for passing data through to your control rooms, and these are already equipped with a number of different industrial communications, such that you can remotely connect with them. And I'd be happy to have some more discussions with you on if that's something that you're interested in. I'm sure some of our local colleagues would also be able to support there.
Thank you, Dave. Shravasti Roy is asking, valves are our ultimate FCE, final control element. What is there in the digital world, anything for remote diagnostic or any other remote operation of valves?
Sorry, can you repeat the question? I didn't quite.
Sure. Valves are our ultimate FCE, which stands for final control element. What is there in the digital world, anything for remote diagnostic or any other remote operation of valves?
Now again, a good question. I think if you take typically with that you obviously care a lot about because it's a key part of your process. Typically, you'll have a digital positioner on the valve, and again, if you take our positioners, which again can communicate via HART, probably other protocols as well. They contain a lot of diagnostic capability, and with those positioners and through the tools that are available from ABB, you can perform partial stroke tests and full stroke tests without necessarily being in front of the device. And again, it's about understanding what is the information that is available within these devices, what's the the valuable information that is there, and typically the valuable information is already identified and made very visible in the FDI packages or the DTM packages that you use to communicate with these products using things like Field Information Manager or Asset Vision Basic. So absolutely, those devices are very very important, and I think they even there are things like being able to count the number of strokes such that you would know when things like the seals and so on might be beginning to degrade within your valve. That's how we would approach it.
And I'm not quite sure whether this is just a statement or a question, but Mukhtaria Duff is saying remote calibration is safe with regards to plant safety, specifically for safety instruments. And then we've got, sorry, Dave, is there something you wanted to add?
No, I mean, I think when it comes to, again, it's maybe worth a follow-up discussion in this area when it comes to the calibration. What are the particular devices? What's the application? And what are the things that we can do? I mean, I think, as I said, this is a journey, and everything is possible. It's just, you know, getting into the nuts and bolts of what is the real need, and how can that solution be created. So yeah, happy to have some follow-up discussions on that.
And then Rowan Badade is asking a question which I think is very important. He's asking, how is network security ensured?
So I mean, in terms of, I guess this is a thinking about cybersecurity here. I think, you know, again, there's been obviously a lot of operators would still like to ensure that their plant and their control environment remains an island, and that's of course for you know, sensible reasons. If they're not happy with the you know, the security of their you know, of keeping everything secure. And of course, there are certain areas where you wouldn't want to you know, take any risks of providing more access. And that, you know, in a typical plant, there will be a number of different levels. So you'll have you know, maybe up to sort of 5 or 6 different levels of network and sort of secure communications between each of those levels. So typically level 0 is your device level, and level 5 or 6 would be your office environment where you do your emails. And there'll be strict protocols about how you can communicate between those levels. And there, you know, we work on a number of standardization groups, like the Namur group. There's a directive or a standard in which is called NE 177, which is talking about, you know, what should you do within this sort of island operation technology domain to ensure security at each of the different layers. And you know, we work on concepts around that. There's things like data diodes, so you can ensure that data is only transferred in one direction. You know, if that's important. But I think, you know, what we've done as ABB is from a cybersecurity perspective, is we've partnered with Microsoft. So we work with Microsoft on their Azure platform. You know, ABB have a long and rich heritage coming from the power industry. You know, we've worked for many decades with you know, very critical infrastructure, and you know, cybersecurity has been something that we've been you know, aware of and working on for, you know, for, I don't know, 10, 20, 30 years or more. And in that sense, you know, cybersecurity is about you know, it's a journey, and it's about ensuring that you can actually secure, you know, not only your products, but also your people. I mean, the biggest risk with security is that, you know, someone accidentally clicks on a link in an email, and suddenly there's a you know, a worm or something that's attacking your corporate network. So I think when you consider cybersecurity, it's got to be, you know, a complete holistic view of you know, your complete cyber of your company at all layers, you know, from the IT level right the way through to the operation technology and the device level. You know, it should also be conversations that you're having with your suppliers and ensuring that they work in secure way. So I think this is I mean, I'm not sure I've completely answered your exact question. I think it's cybersecurity when you want to go into offering connected devices. You know, I typically get involved in conversations with IT managers about how these work, what are the sort of typical security measures that we enforce, and what are the things that they should consider when implementing these solutions. And that's the approach here. You're going to start to expose information to cloud. You have to have a very clear plan about how you're going to manage security at each layer within your plant and within your company, and identify the risks and put in place measures to protect that. But I think we as ABB are well placed to support with those discussions and come up with secure methods of doing that, because inherently we have a high level of security within our products and systems and the way we work. Okay, thank you. It's a good question.
We have another question here from Surab, asking, after COVID, it seems things may change in field work and offices. This seems to be a transition for employees as well. Can you please share your opinion on how to ready ourselves for the future?
Yeah, good question. I mean, I've been thinking, I'm obviously sat at home working right now, like many of you, and I'm sort of thinking, well, my day to day, I usually spend 6 hours on Skype or Teams meetings anyway. Does it really matter whether I go back to the office or not? And I'm sure many of you are thinking the same. How and I think everyone, we're going to hopefully come out of this, and everyone will start to reconsider, what do we need to do, and can we be more productive working remotely? And ultimately, when it comes to our plants, I think we will need to all think very carefully about how they operate, and can we do remotely to keep them operating, in case these kind of things happen again, if there's a second wave or so on. But I mean, I think ultimately we're going to see a major change in how technology is utilized, and I don't think that a return to complete normal how we're working, because I think in many cases people are seeing that things can carry on without you needing to physically be there. And I think again that's always been in our strategy, that we want to be able to remotely support, and I think this will probably just accelerate that process going forwards. So yeah, again, good question, and I'd be interested to hear your views on that as well at some time.
Manu is saying it's very difficult to convince customers who don't have enough investment, and he's asking how can we approach them.
Well, I think I mean what I've just tried to show is some applications that are actually made free of charge. These are things that are there to assist with using equipment, and in that sense, I think there are different types of conversation. I mean, you will have companies that want to invest heavily in a complete cloud infrastructure and data analytics platform, and then you'll have companies that are just looking to how can they reduce, they've got a set number of staff, and how can they reduce the burden on particular operators and improve their daily work by reducing 1 hour of walking the line and doing the regular ticking the box exercise of walking around the plant and checking that everything is working. How can we make those kind of things more efficient? And I think when you think about those kind of activities, these are absolutely the types of applications that can be used to to make those incremental improvements in how tasks are performed. So I think this is a journey. It's not an end destination. And you know, everyone, as I showed on that maturity curve, everyone is at a different layer, and you just have to work out, you know, where do you want to get to, and what do you need to be productive, and steps, and eventually, you know, that will evolve as things progress.
Yes, thank you very much, Dave. I see we have reached the top of the hour, but there are still a number of questions. I would suggest I share them with you, Dave, and maybe we can respond to the participants afterwards, answering their questions.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to do that.
Well, thank you very much for joining, everybody. I think you can still see the contact information on the screen. So should you have any additional questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to one of us. We will make sure to share the recording as well as the presentation with you afterwards. It will also be made available on our Measurement and Analytics TechTalks page. Have a lovely day, everybody.
Thanks a lot. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Dave.
Thanks. Bye.